Farm Basics is brought to you by the Liberty Link trait and Liberty herbicide from Bayer. The most reliable weed management solution, Liberty Link and Liberty herbicide are the link to efficient row crop production and sustainable weed management.
During our Farm Basics time today, we're going to talk about one of the most important things that farmers have to take a look at when spraying late in the season. That is the pre-harvest interval of a pesticide.
Well, you're talking about row crops, Brian. When we think about many other things where we're chopping for hay multiple times during the season, like alfalfa, for example, we're always concerned about that pre-harvest interval. When we're out controlling things like weeds and insects and stopping diseases, farmers are using many different products in the field. And one of the things that goes into making that decision is, all right, if I use this to kill a bug or to prevent a disease out in my crop, how far does that have to be on before harvest? Like right now in soybeans, for example, on our farm, hey, we're nearing the end of the season. We've got a month to go. And you look at, well, we've got a problem bug out there and it's starting to clip off some pods. Maybe it's bean leaf beetles. Well, what can we do to stop the bean leaf beetles? Our only bet across broad acres is to spray an insecticide. Well, there are insecticides that have a 30-day pre-harvest interval. There's some that may only have a week or 10-day long pre-harvest interval. Well, which ones are we going to choose? We're probably going to take the shorter ones. Why do they have a shorter pre-harvest interval? Are they safer products? In many cases, yes, it may be a safer product, but what it really comes down to is what those chemical companies have done in terms of testing the residue levels in crops. So once we spray it on a crop, how long will that product still be there and be detectable on the crop? Well, there are products out there, like in the pyrethroid family, that may have a pre-harvest interval as little as 1 day. So literally, you could spray, kill the bugs 1 day, and if you wanted to, you could harvest as soon as the very next day. Now that's kind of unusual. Most of the time we're going to see 3-day, 7-day, 30-day pre-harvest intervals on products, but you can look with different pesticides out there and find some with very short pre-harvest intervals.
What I've always found interesting is how can an insecticide in one crop be a 1-day pre-harvest interval, and in another crop it's 30 days, in another crop it's 45 days, in another crop it's 15 days. What's going on? I mean, does it last longer in one crop than another? Well, in a lot of cases, no. Here's what it comes down to. Many of these insecticides are very safe. For example, the pyrethroid family, it comes from the chrysanthemum flower. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that, oh, you want to drink the stuff or anything like that, but I'm simply saying there isn't a lot left even a few days later. But with all these great big chemical companies, it costs them more money in testing if they want to show and prove that, hey, we only have a 1-day pre-harvest interval. So it costs more money, and what they're looking at all the time is return on investment. They say, oh, if this is some great big crop and there's a really big use a day before or a week before, we'll spend the money. Otherwise, in crops like soybeans, they say, nobody's going to spray within a month of harvest anyway, so why do we need to go through all that testing?
So when you talk about pre-harvest intervals, it's important that you read the label on any product that you're going to apply to the crop before you apply it. And when you're getting relatively close to when you want to harvest, compare the labels between your best 2 or 3 alternatives and look for ones with shorter pre-harvest intervals.
Well, if you're looking on labels, one of the things you can look for on herbicide labels is our Weed of the Week. We'll show you how to stop this tough weed coming up later in the show.